Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be sharing an update with you on how it is going in my Hobonichi Techo A6 Avec Health Planner. So if you are interested, then please keep watching. So let's jump right on in. I am happy to report that this planner specifically has been giving me planner peace. It has been my favorite of all of the planners that I have been using so far this year. I have been able to stay consistent with it, and I never got a chance after posting my first video on how I was gonna use this planner. I never got a chance to be able to share with you all how I set it up, so I thought I would do just like a quick flip through while also letting you know what has been working for me in using this planner. So let's open this up. I used some Coffee Monsters Co. stickers for the front, and I realized that since this is the Avec version, I wanted to be able to reuse these when I transition into the second half of the 6 months. So I just used some tape to paste these on here. That way I could reuse the stickers on the second half, since it is the Avec, so it's only from January through June. So I should say that I did put a video on how I will be using this planner. I can link it down below if you're interested in watching it. I'm still learning how to navigate YouTube, so it's not as great quality, but I did share that for in this section, I am just tracking whether or not I move my body. January for me was just not the best. It kind of just didn't exist for me. Technically my year really started in February. And that really is because my grandmother passed away in January. Like, I didn't even post anything, I think, for like the rest of like January. So, because she passed away on December 31st, and then we had to travel to Mexico. So yeah, so basically these first like 8 days were basically the time that I was in Mexico. And so all of that just to say that I wasn't expecting a lot from January. And even so, I was actually quite surprised that I still was able to move my body. And what I did is I just counted like the total days so that way I could keep track, and kind of be able to tell like what would be my average. And by move my body, so I am counting if I walk my dog, if I do a Peloton workout, really just anything that kind of moves my body. I'm still debating if I should count like the times that I end up like meeting 10,000 steps in a day. If I'm not like deliberately trying to walk, I feel like that still counts. But for now, I'm counting it as like I deliberately, with intention, like when I walk my dog, meant to move my body. And so I've done the highlights so far, and I'm really liking it. So I thought I would just share like this. I've done a pretty good job at keeping track with it. So for the month of January, I used some Coffee Monsters Co. stickers to decorate it, which I actually really liked the color. This monthly section I've mostly been using for my appointments, like the days that I have infusion, anything kind of related to my health. So for example, I'm in an RA support group, so I added those on here as well. I take my methotrexate on Thursday, so I keep track of that. And then I put a note here that I wanted to, kind of think about and plan, like what week I was going to start reducing my methotrexate. So for those of you who are not aware, methotrexate is a medication that is commonly prescribed for those who have rheumatoid arthritis. But it is also a medication that is a complete no-no if you are trying to get pregnant. It's also why you'll see when I show like my current medications, it's part of why I am on birth control. It's just a no, like it's not safe to use for pregnancy. And unfortunately, I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis right after my husband and I got married, which would have been when we typically want to try to have kids. So that is something that I am kind of working on, trying to reduce. So I know this is a lot of excess information. A part of my channel is, building awareness of rheumatoid arthritis. I'll put timestamps below if you're interested in like skipping ahead. But all of that to kind of say that part of why I am tracking everything in this health planner is to really kind of get a feel of, do I get any increase in pain, with, for example, starting to reduce the methotrexate. So I did start to reduce by half a dose. I started that on the 18th of January. And so, so it's been kind of nice to be able to have that on here. That way when I go, I actually am due to go to the doctor next week. And so I can share just how it's been going in terms of my managing my pain and fatigue. But yeah, overall, this is kind of just like a snapshot of how I used it for the month of January. And then for February, I did something similar, except this time I used some Archer and Olive stickers. This is actually from their new sticker subscription called the Kit Club. I wanted to just kind of try it out to see, even though they mostly kind of tailor for bullet journal, I wanted to kind of see if I could use it in my Hobonichi. And so I liked it. So this is just like the snapshot of February. I had like my dentist appointment, infusions, RA group, and then like the life hack extravaganza that Cheryl. So Cheryl's she's the one that runs the RA support group. So I strongly recommend you follow her if you have rheumatoid arthritis. I will link it down below as well. So yeah, this is just a snapshot of how I planned my February. In this section on turning the page to the new year, this is where I kind of set just like my yearly health intentions, just kind of what my focus is on for the year. I believe I said this in my other video, but a lot of like my focus in terms of my health is just like healing the relationship that I have with my body. Having rheumatoid arthritis, being diagnosed with it, it was just like a huge thing to try to adapt to. There was a lot of like anger towards my body in the beginning, a lot of that because I was no longer able to do things that I was normally or in the past was able to do. Like the pain was so bad to the extent that, my husband had to help me get dressed in the mornings. I couldn't squeeze like the bottle of toothpaste in the mornings. And all of this because I couldn't find, the right medication for me. And so I was just really like, I guess, angry and upset. And I used to be very, active and physical. And so, I couldn't do like yoga anymore. I couldn't do a downward dog anymore. So I feel like this year, thankfully, I have been feeling better thanks to the medications. I'm always saying, thank you, science, for the medications that are able to help me not be in pain 24/7, because that is literally what it was when I couldn't find the meds. Now it's just pain if I'm in a flare. So all of that just to say that was kind of my intention for the year, is to just kind of heal that relationship. Is part of why I phrase it as moving my body, because I really am just trying to be more kind of body positive and really embrace and celebrate the times that I am able to move my body, because I know what it is like when I am not able to do that. And then on this side, I just put the list of the current medications that I am on. And actually something that I've been meaning to do that I haven't done yet, and I got this idea from my RA support group, is printing out on a sheet of paper just copies of my current meds with the actual dosages, because if you have a chronic illness or if you go to the doctor a lot, then you know that they are always asking you what medications are you on. And I'm always having to reference my little notebook to kind of make sure that they have the correct list. And so something that I am planning on doing that I haven't done yet is to just kind of print it out and make copies, and then I can just kind of tuck it in here. That way when I go to the doctor and they ask me for my list of current meds, I can just hand them the piece of paper. So, and then I decorated these with the notebook therapy, the Hinoki into the new year, I believe was what the name of it was. But yeah, and then we come into the beginning of January. I again used the Archer and Olive kit to decorate this. So I did like the day of the week. It did cover up the date. So because I put in like, you know, what day it was, it covered up the date. So I used these here instead of using them, as opposed to like in February, I used them over here. But I really liked it. I don't know if I might cancel the Archer and Olive Kit Club after this month. So I currently have January, February, and March. I like them. I just find that I don't use, let me see if I have one on here. Like these larger ones, I just find that I'm not really using these as much. And it has quite a few stickers that contain these. And I've been using the Archer and Olive Kit Club for this in addition to my writing journal. But anyhow, sorry, I should probably mention that this will be a chatty journal, or this will be a chatty planner talk. So in the monthly, or like in this blank page before the month, I just have been using it to set my intention for that month. So another thing about chronic illness is that it often feels like you're doing everything right, or you're addressing like all the lifestyle factors. And then even so, sometimes you may still have a pain flare. And so for me, it's always felt so overwhelming. Like I have to make sure I'm sleeping right, make sure I'm drinking enough water, make sure I'm, moving my body. Did I do any mindfulness exercises? So there's like so many lifestyle factors that play a role. Am I eating anti-inflammatory foods? And it can feel quite overwhelming. So an idea that I had was, what if just every month I focused on one aspect of my health? Not that I'm, like ignoring all of the others. I'm just focusing on one thing. And then maybe that will help me kind of realize, what is the one factor or one lifestyle area that tends to really lead to more positive feelings in my body, or the one that really leads to more positive outcomes. This is something else that I've learned from being in my RA support group. For someone, it might be that they need to make sure they get sleep, and that kind of does this positive domino effect where everything else just kind of falls into place. For another person, it might be their diet and eating anti-inflammatory foods. That might be like their biggest focus. So for me, I have found just from doing this for the past 2 months that moving my body is really the one that has the most positive impact for me, because if I move my body, then I'm able to get sleep. If I get sleep, it kind of just has this like positive ripple effect. So for the month of January, that was the intention I believe that I set. Had to read it. So my focus for the month of January was on making sure that I stayed on top of tracking, and then making sure that I moved my body. And of course I set my intention, and then my grandmother passed away, and then I was very worried and nervous that things were that it was gonna, kind of have a negative effect on my health. But thankfully, for the most part, it wasn't too bad. And so the way that I can do just kind of like a brief flip through, but I initially started like trying to try like my moods at the top, and kind of tracking it, like how was it in the morning versus in the afternoon versus at night. And then I tend to do, I'm trying to think of like more. So I would say that currently. So this is kind of more typical of what I am currently doing, where I track my pain and fatigue, whether or not I move my body. I put my mood down here at the bottom, and then you know, any other miscellaneous notes. So like on this day, I kind of felt bloated after eating some pasta, which is helpful. These things for me is like helpful to kind of notice the patterns. And then this, I did take this to Mexico with me, and it actually ended up being a good thing that I did. So I tracked all the food that I ate because I ended up getting really, really bad food poisoning. And then there's no good cell service in Mexico where my grandparents lived. And I didn't know, like, oh my gosh, like my mom's trying to give me medication and I have no idea if it interacts with any of the current meds that I'm on. So I just wrote down like the things that I was taking, and I actually ended up skipping the methotrexate. And so I wrote that note down just in case it was helpful. I had a very bad case of food poisoning, and in the end, like, I was thankful to have this, to be able to write it down, because if I would have had some kind of negative reaction, then I could have, you know, had my dad drive me to the city so that I could have better cell service and then kind of figure it out. But yeah, so I kind of like tracked all that and just thought it would be helpful information. But yeah, that's kind of pretty much how, like, you know, I'm quickly just flipping through all of this, but there are some days, yeah, like this day, that I may not write on it. But for the most part, I've been staying on track. I really, really like this planner as my health planner. It's just been like, it's giving me planner peace. I like seeing it complete. I felt like I did so well with moving my body that for the month of February, I decided to just continue that intention. So like continuing to track my symptoms, continuing to move my body, and all of that, especially because I started to reduce the methotrexate. I did play around with whether or not I should track food, but kind of how I was saying earlier about what are the lifestyle factors that kind of most impact your overall health. I've noticed that for me, a lot of it is like the mood, right? My mood, whether or not I moved my body. Yoga is like really helpful for me. And that may not be the case for everybody. And so here's some other days that I did not fill it out, unfortunately. But for the most part, I am kind of staying on track. I know it's like, here's another. I was busy on these days and I did not track it. I will say that if I didn't write anything, for the most part, that probably means that I didn't have like that big of a discomfort, because if I did have a lot of pain, then I know that I would have like written it down. Trying to look for an example, because for the most part, I've had minimal pain, which has been great. I'm happy to report that to the doctor, but there were like a few days here and there, where I did have to like wear my wrist brace. Just trying to remember when that was. For example, I remember just by reading this that I spent like the whole day cleaning on Saturday, and then on Sunday I ended up getting a flare. So I probably should have done a better job at like protecting my joints while I was cleaning. And I had to wear my compression. So usually if I have to wear my gloves or my compression that I wear on my wrist, then I know that it was a particularly painful day. But yeah, so that's been really nice for me to keep track of. But I thought it would be nice to just show like kind of the flip through of that, of what has worked. Now, I will say that I did get this supplement. where my intention was to track pain, stress, and fatigue. And this is an example of a week where I actually did that. And thankfully, as you can see, pain was minimal, at least this first week of January, despite me being in Mexico and having had to bury my grandmother on the 1st. But yeah, so, this is my stress and this is fatigue. And I really loved seeing this, but unfortunately, it looks like I did it the first 2 weeks. This quickly kind of fell through and I have not done a great job at keeping up with it. So it looks like I was kind of in and out in January, and then in February, I've even less been able to keep up with it. Oh gosh, I didn't even do it this week either. So I don't see this as a bad thing though. For me, this was a supplement that I just thought would be helpful. Like I said, since I was going to try to reduce some of my medications and I wanted to kind of keep track of whether, I was in a pain flare and to see if that was related to reducing my medication. But if I'm not putting anything on here, that usually means that I've been fairly okay. Because there was a day, this was the day that I had the flare where I did the cleaning on the 10th, and I can easily kind of go in here and I can note, what kind of led to this more increase in pain that I felt. So I think it's still helpful for me to have it. I may not be filling it out every single week, but I like to have it just in case I actually need it or need to start tracking. But out of, everything on here, I will say this is the one thing that I have not been, doing as great of a job of tracking. But yeah, that is all that I wanted to share. I just kind of wanted to give, all of you just an update on how my planner is going. I can't remember if I said this earlier, but I believe I said that I am doing a 2024 planner lineup video. Just kind of sharing how it's going in all of my planners. I'll briefly summarize for this when I get to that video. But yeah, I'm so happy with this planner. It's just been my favorite of all the ones that I've been using. I think I'm definitely going to be continuing this for next year. I know it's very early for me to say that, but so far I am very much enjoying this. And I just wanted to share in case anyone out there with chronic illness is interested to see just kind of how I've been tracking my my overall health. But yeah, if you have any questions on how I've been using it, feel free to let me know down below, and feel free to share as well how, maybe how you're using your health planners or how you are tracking. I'm always interested to hear, how other people are tracking their health. So thank you all so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.